If you're thinking about selling your home in 2026, you really need to pay attention to what's happening right now. The market has changed. Buyers, they're acting differently. And a lot of homeowners are walking in with expectations that no longer match reality. The decisions you make before you list and in the first few weeks you're on the market are gonna matter more than they have in years. This video is about how selling a home actually works in the 2026 market, why a lot of sellers leave money on the table without realizing it, and what you need to do to put yourself in the strongest possible position from day one. Let's get right into it. Hi, I'm Bob Sophiea. Welcome back to the channel. This channel is all about moving and living in Lexington, Kentucky. I post videos like this every week, and today we're talking about how to successfully sell your home in 2026. So before we talk about pricing or prep or offers, we need to start with the number one. Your mindset has to match this market. Here's the truth. A lot of homeowners still think the market is supposed to feel like it did a few years ago. Quick offers, buyers rushing, sellers doing whatever they want. That's not the market we're in right now, and that's not the market we're walking into in 2026. In Lexington specifically, buyers have more options than they did when inventory was super tight. Realtor.com's Lexington market data has active listings in the 1,200 range, and it shows homes taking about 40 days on average to sell, not just the weekend. That one change alone forces sellers to think differently because days on the market change the whole vibe. The longer something sits, the more buyers start asking questions. And it's not just Lexington. Regionally, Bluegrass Realtors has been reporting higher inventory and more new listings coming online in central and southern Kentucky, including year-over-year growth in inventory and new listings. They even called out new listings hitting a multi-year high in 2025. And months of inventory, well, that's been rising too. So what does that mean for you as a seller? It means buyers, they're not desperate. They're cautious, they're comparing, and they're more comfortable walking away when something doesn't feel right. The other big thing you can't ignore is the interest rates. Even as the rates soften a little, the payment is still a big deal for most buyers. Freddie Mac's national survey had the 30-year fixed at about 6.15% at the end of 2025. And the forecasts going into 2026 aren't calling for some huge drops. That payment pressure changes buyer behavior. And when buyers feel squeezed, they get pickier about the price and the condition. That's why number one is mindset. Because if you accept, okay, this is more of a normal market, then number two becomes obvious. If buyers are careful and payment sensitive, you can't wing the price. That brings us to number two. Pricing is your make or break decision. If your home is priced wrong, nothing else matters. Not your pictures, not your updates, not your open house. Price controls the traffic. Traffic controls the offers. In Lexington, the data already shows the market is moving, but it's not flying. Redfin had Lexington's median sales price around $338 in November of 2025, with homes selling in the high 30-day range on average. Realtor.com's numbers are a little different depending on the reporting month and whether or not you're looking at listing versus sold data, but it still points to the same message. Buyers are active, but they're not rushing. And here's what I see happening all the time. A seller looks at what the neighbor got at the peak of the market, or they look at the Zestimate and they decide, let's aim high and see what happens. In 2026, that approach backfires because buyers aren't just looking at your home. They're looking at 3 or 4 or 5 other homes in the same price range. And if yours feels a little overpriced, they don't negotiate with you. They move on. So when I talk about pricing, I'm talking about doing it like a business decision. You look at recent sales in your neighborhood, not 6 months ago, not last year. You look at what actually closed recently, what condition those homes were in, and what your current competition, houses that are on the market, look like right now. Then ask the hard question. If a buyer sees my house online next to these other ones, does my price make sense without me being there to explain it? Because buyers aren't reading the long story. They're looking at the photos, the basic facts, and the price. If it doesn't click immediately, you lose them. And in this payment-heavy market, you also have to think about price in terms of monthly payment. Sometimes the best strategy is pricing at market value to drive more showings early. Earlier showings matter because that's when you have momentum. That's when buyers think, this one is new. We need to get in to go see it. If you're 2 to 3 weeks with no steady showings and no offers, that usually means one of two things. Either the price is off or it means the condition doesn't match the price, which is exactly why number 2 flows into number 3. If the pricing is supposed to bring people in, then the house has to back it up the second the buyer walks inside. Number 3, condition and presentation matter more now. In 2026, buyers don't just ask, is the house nice? They ask, is the house worth the payment? And when the rates are in the 6% range, buyers feel every extra $10,000. So what do? They get picky. They focus on flaws. They start building a mental list of what they'll have to fix before they move in. This is where sellers lose money without realizing it. They think it's not that bad, but the buyer thinks, I'm already stretched and I don't want any projects. So here's how I look at prep. Step 1 is space, not square footage, space. Meaning, does your home feel open, clean, and easy to walk through? That means decluttering hard, more than most people want to. Kitchens and bathrooms are the big ones. If the counters are full, buyers don't see the counter space. They see lack of storage. Closets matter too. If closets are packed, buyers assume the closet doesn't have enough storage, even if it does. Step 2, simple cleanliness and maintenance. Buyers notice the small stuff now. Loose doorknobs, burnt out light bulbs, marks on the baseboards, a dripping faucet. In hotter markets, buyers ignored that. In more balanced markets, those little things become negotiation points later. I'd rather fix them before we ever list. Step 3 is light. Lexington gets plenty of gray days, and light matters in showings and in photos. Open the blinds, replace the dim bulbs, make sure the room feels bright. Buyers don't remember your granite or your paint color as much as they remember how the house felt when they walk through it. Step 4, that's curb appeal, because your first showing happens at the curb. A buyer pulls up and decides within seconds if they're excited or nervous. It doesn't need to be expensive. Clean edges, trim shrub, and a front door that doesn't look tired. That's it. Now, step 5 is where people mess up. Updates. This is not time for giant remodels unless your home is truly outdated compared to your competition. Most times, the best returns, they come from the basic stuff. Neutral paint, updated light fixtures, modern hardware, and anything that makes the home feel kept up. The goal of prep is not to make the house perfect. The goal is to remove reasons to say no. Because when a house shows well, your marketing actually works. If the house doesn't show well, marketing just brings in people who leave disappointed. If we want buyers excited online, the home has to look and feel right in the real world too. So number 4 is online presentation. Most buyers decide whether to tour your home based on their phone screen. That's not an opinion. That's just how people shop. So professional photos are not an option anymore. If your listing photos look dark, cramped, or cluttered, buyers don't say, maybe it looks better in person. They say, next. And when buyers have more choices, which the Lexington data, it shows with the inventory being up, you don't want to be the home that gets skipped. This is also where video matters. Video helps buyers understand the layout, the flow, the space in a way photos don't, especially for people relocating to Lexington who are picking neighborhoods from a distance. And there's the listing description. emotion. Keep it real. Don't oversell. If the home has great yard, a good layout, a quiet street, something that people care about, you highlight that clearly. If your home has features that matter, like a real home office setup, you show it. Marketing should match the buyer. If the home fits families, talk about daily life, schools nearby, park conveniences. If it fits professionals, talk about the commute and the layout. You're not writing poetry. You're helping people picture their routine. And one more thing that matters more than sellers realize: response time. When a buyer calls or messages, a fast response equals more showings. Slow response equals lost showings. Buyers are still shopping for multiple homes. They'll tour the one that's the easiest to see. So by the time we get good photos, we clean up and prep, we get some solid marketing in place, that's when your listing has its best shot to create momentum. And once your momentum brings in offers, you have to know how to handle them in a rate-heavy market. Number 5, negotiation. A lot of sellers think that negotiation starts and ends with, what's the offer price? The better question is, what does the buyer need for the deal to work? Because if rates are hovering around low to mid 6 range, monthly payment is the main pressure point. That's why seller concessions matter more now than they did during the frenzy. Sometimes it makes more sense to offer a credit for closing costs or a temporary rate buy down than it does to cut the price the same amount. Builders have been using this approach for a reason. Buyers feel the payment change immediately. Here's how that plays out in real life. You might get an offer that's a little under asking, but they want help with closing costs, or they want a credit to reduce the rate for the first year or two. A lot of sellers get offended by that. They shouldn't. You look at how long you've been on the market. You look at whether the buyer is solid. Then you decide what's smartest. Flexibility is another advantage in this market. Some buyers need longer closing. Some buyers have a house to sell. If you can be flexible on timing, you can sometimes beat another listing that's priced similarly but has a seller who won't work with anyone. And inspection is still inspection. In 2026, buyers are less likely to have extra cash sitting around for surprises, especially first-time home buyers. So when repairs come up, the smartest move is usually to stay reasonable. Not every request is fair, but some are. Keeping the deal alive is often a bigger win because going back on the market isn't just inconvenient. It can cost you leverage. Buyers watch days on market and they assume the longer it sits, the more desperate the seller becomes. So number 5 is simple. Don't negotiate emotionally. Negotiate based on the numbers and the reality of how buyers are buying right now. Selling a home in 2026 isn't about luck. It's about understanding the market and making smart decisions in the right order. It starts with the right mindset, then pricing, then preparation, then marketing, and finally negotiation. Each step builds on the one before it. Skip one and the rest get harder. If you control what you can control, the price, the condition, and the presentation, you put yourself in the best position to sell well in this market. If you have any questions or you want to talk through your situation, you can use the link in the description to get in touch. And if you want more videos about buying and selling and living in Lexington, please just hit the subscribe button. I post new videos like this every week. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like, hit the subscribe. It's a free way to support me, and I'll see you in the next video.